to put themselves in this position, right, to play in front of people and put our uniforms on and get the popcorn popping and some butts in the stands and go out and compete. So it should be a great opportunity for our program.
Do you have any update on Marcus?
No, at this point, I know exactly what's been published publicly. It's an unfortunate situation, but at this point, that's all we have.
Does it become a Title IX situation at all?
I believe so. I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm obviously not involved in that process. Obviously, it's first the legal side, and I don't know if those things happen concurrently or one happens and then the other, but I'm sure that'll be something that comes up.
Mike, I know it's something you wanted to avoid after going through everything you went last year with that team. Have you used it as a teaching moment with the other guys that, hey, you're student athletes, but you're celebrities. You got to be careful in this day and age.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would characterize it that way. They're not celebrities. Obviously, being a basketball player here is a big privilege. It's a great honor for me to be the coach here. We have these conversations about things like this being potential issues all the time. It's a process that we try to touch on from the moment they arrive on campus, and they're not always avoidable. Unfortunately, we found ourselves here, and at this point, we'll just deal with the information as we get it.
Moving forward, how do you guys adjust the rotation?
Well, there's no rotation yet, right? We haven't played, so the guys who perform the best in practice will have an opportunity. As it relates to him, he's obviously not a part of that conversation at this point.
I know you can't say much about the super secret scrimmage, but coming out of that, situations, everything, you've always bounced out here and said, hey, we've had this many good practices, we need to keep going. Are you still on that schedule?
Yeah, we actually, and I think it was a good thing, we stumbled a little bit at the beginning of last week and had a couple not great practices. We needed that. We needed a little bit of, recharging. They needed to see someone else. So going into the scrimmage, I was really focused on seeing how they would respond to not having a couple good practices leading in. And they responded really well. I was pleased with the things that we were able to do based off of practices and how the guys are starting to understand their roles within the team.
Was there any certain guy who stood out to you most there?
Not necessarily. I will highlight Keelan Boone has kind of popped his head up amongst the freshmen here over the last couple weeks in ways that I probably didn't anticipate. But the MVP of that scrimmage was Trey Reeves.
You said Keelan in ways you didn't anticipate. What are some of those things that have surprised you?
Just his activity. He's embraced the role of becoming somebody who we can count on defensively. He's got great versatility on the perimeter as a defender. He had 7 deflections and I think 9 rebounds in about a 20-minute segment, which is really, really high production, especially for a guy who you would think is going to identify himself as a scorer. He didn't take a bunch of bad shots, but just play within himself.
There's so much known about Cam and about Thomas and Lindy. Those guys, they're the rock. But usually you see sophomores from a freshman to sophomore year, guys really jump up. Are you happy with Isaac and how they've progressed from their freshman year?
Yeah, Ice's summer was a little bit different because of the USA basketball experience. We actually shut him down for about 6 or 8 weeks, and he really had to get himself going again in the fall, and he's done a really good job of doing that. The thing he's done the most is really, really engage himself in the film room and before and after practice stuff. And Yor has continued to come along offensively. He's trying to develop a little bit more range away from the basket, and that's something I can see him using as the season goes on.
How was Trey Reeves the MVP of this week?
But Trey Reeves did not play much. I don't anticipate during the season him playing much. But in terms of understanding what our team needs from him, no one's as bought into their role for our team. He may have played a minute and a half or 2 minutes. He took a charge. Every time he was on the sideline, he was talking to his teammates about things that they could be doing. But just that buy-in to what he needs to do. It's very hard to find a guy who knows he's not going to play much, continually stay engaged, and things that maybe he's not going to necessarily have an impact in on the court, but cares about his team having success so much. Never wavers on that.
Yesterday, the NCAA, announced that they're going to look to find ways for the players here. What do you think on that?
I'm all for it. I've said this before. I don't know if it was this group. We've got a little bit of an issue, and part of it is our fault as coaches, right? Our salaries have gotten so out of whack from, that it's kind of ridiculous that student athletes technically don't get anything from a compensation standpoint. The truth is, though, there are very few athletes who actually have value from a monetary standpoint, right? I was one of those guys. I went to the University of South Carolina in the year 2000, and for 4 years, I was a net loss for that university. And I'm not saying that as a joke, right? I benefited in every way possible from being a student athlete. I got a degree. I played college basketball for 4 years, had a great experience. It wasn't always easy or fun. It was hard work. But I'm here today because of that experience. And there are a lot more guys like me than there are Zion Williamsons, right? So if we could get away from the extremes that we need to pay however many thousands of athletes there are in the country a salary to do this, and we shouldn't give them anything, then we could maybe have a conversation. I lived it, right? Everything that I went into that 4 years was a net profit for me, and the University of South Carolina just got to hand me a degree at the end as well. Right? So I benefited fully from my experience as an athlete, but I do recognize there are some guys who have true value in the market somewhere, and they should have an opportunity to pursue those areas.
Does that change recruiting at all?
Absolutely. It always affects recruiting, no question about it.
Friday, you've got Roger State, and Stephen was just reminding me, I kind of forgot about this. You were an assistant on that staff when they came in here and shot 57% from the field and 50% from three-point range. I'm going to guess those aren't numbers on the board that you want to see on Friday.
Definitely not. Coach Barkley does a tremendous job. They've got a couple Division I transfers that'll come in here and be excited about playing in a building like this again and have an opportunity to compete against a Big 12 team. So our guys need to prepare the right way for the next 2 days to play against a team that's going to come here and try to win.
What do you want to see from you guys Friday?
I want to see us take another step forward in terms of our effort and communication. Those are the two areas that we grade unselfishness on. Give great effort and you communicate all the time. Those are things that you're doing not about yourself. So those are the areas I'm looking forward to most, but I also want to see us share the ball. I want to see us take a couple charges, dive on some loose balls, and ultimately make some shots so our fans will come back next week.
How important are these exhibition games for your program, ahead of the
Yeah, really, really important. I can't really emphasize how important it is for, 5 or 6 of them. It'll be the first time that they play in this building with people in it, and we're keeping score and time and all that stuff. So just that experience alone will be valuable for us as we move forward to next week.
Is it a little different for the freshmen then? I mean, is that really what you gained from this?
Yeah, I mean it's different. I mean, in a lot of ways, it doesn't seem like a big game. It's a big game for those guys. It'll be the first time that people are going to pay money to come watch them play, right? And their family will come and they'll put on that college basketball uniform that they've all probably spent some time in their minds thinking about how it would look and how it would feel. So yeah, it'll be great for them to go out there and kick the ball out of bounds a couple times, maybe throw one off the backboard, get the jitters out before it really counts next week.
A couple weeks ago, you said that Hedy could make a case for being one of the best shooters on the team. What has his defense been like transitioning from that European game to here?
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised at his overall game. I also said he's one of the smartest guys that I've ever coached, and that's what's helping him the most. He picks up things incredibly quick. He understands how to make adjustments on the fly, and he competes really hard. So I wouldn't say he's our best defender, but he understands the concepts as well as any of our newcomers do already.
These suspensions is third time in 3 years. Are you at all worried on how that kind of reflects on the program?
I'm always worried about the program, but with the suspensions themselves, you have to deal with things as they come. I mean, I don't keep count. I'm not trying to say, well, if this happens again, well, we did this the last time, so let's try to sweep it under the rug or keep it quiet. Nope. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look you guys in the face and be honest and tell you what I know, and we're going to deal with it as we have the right information.
What would you say is the biggest thing you learned last year from managing a team while off the court, adversity's going on at the same time too?
I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I told our guys kind of in a way that hopefully they wanted to play harder, that I learned how to coach 5 guys. So as long as we have 5, I feel like I can survive the game and be able to coach to some success. Don't want to go there ever, but I feel like I've got confidence how to manage minutes and time for a limited bench.
If it is a Title IX, does that take it out of your hands? Is that kind of how that works?
It's already out of my hands.
Right.
So I don't know if that further takes it out. I mean, once it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands, right? So the legal side is ongoing now. As more information comes, you probably will know before I do. But if it continues through Title IX, now obviously I still wouldn't be involved at that point either.
Game 7 tonight, Washington, Houston. Who you got?
I don't watch baseball anymore.
Season's over, right?
College basketball season. It's been interesting. I didn't even realize this because I haven't really been paying that much attention, but there hasn't been a home win yet. That's pretty strange.
That's never happened in the World Series, NBA, or NHL championship series ever. First time ever.
That's not really surprising. It's surprising that's actually happening now.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess
I'm hoping
the
for a
odds are
reversal
you go
tonight.
with the home team. All right, Game 7. I don't know. Who's pitching?
Scherzer and Greinke?
Greinke, yeah.
Greinke. I don't know. I have to go with the Nats then, if that's the case.
Did you see all the craziness last night with the call at first base?
No. I'd been out of town the last couple of days, so I got home yesterday, and my kids were not having me watch TV last night. So I was not watching much. Ace wanted to read books and books and books, and Zoe just wanted to sit there and watch us read. So that's what we did.
With so many young guys, do you ever find any of your players kind of struggling or having to adjust to having 2 halves as opposed to 4 quarters in high school?
Yeah, I think it's different. The flow of the game. It takes a little while to get used to. Timeouts every 4 minutes and halftime and all that stuff. And there's a sideshow kind of with college basketball because of TV and all that stuff. So yeah, it takes some adjustment for sure.
That's something that didn't they run that in the NIT your year, the 4 quarters, or is that just
Yeah.
Why do you think that hasn't stuck, but like the lane widening and all that stuff has?
A lot of it probably goes to TV. How those timeouts fall and stuff like that. I don't know. No one asked me what I thought. I didn't love it myself, but here we are, 2 halves.